When one dad was on the verge of a serious health scare, he had a lovely guardian angel in his corner. His wife and children were by his side throughout the entire ordeal, but it was clear that this father was the strong foundation and backbone of the family. Even in the darkest of times, he persevered and worked hard to ensure that everyone was taken care of. His love for his family is immense and truly unending. This touching and loving story will make you cry. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Paula and John Ivanowski lived with their beautiful family in Kirkwood, St. Louis County, Missouri. Everything was going well for them until John's health began declining, something they had never seen coming. It turned out that John had kidney issues for which he needed medical help. As the years passed, things aggravated, and his condition worsened instead of improving. Then one day, the Ivanowskis received lab results that shattered them to the core. According to one of the tests, John's kidney had failed and he required immediate treatment. The news came as a shock to the whole family. They couldn't believe that something like this could happen to John. He was always so healthy and active. Paula was especially devastated. She loved her husband very much and couldn't imagine losing him. He was attached to a machine that kept him alive, but the pain was unbearable. So when he received a new kidney from a donor, it meant everything to him. He could finally do what he wanted and needed to do without being in pain. It was a miracle, and he was grateful for every moment that he could spend without being attached to the machine. John's daughter, Delaine Ivanowski, said her father was diagnosed with immunoglobulin A deficiency, characterized by an overactive immune system that attacked his kidneys. After doing some research, she found a treatment that could potentially help him and convinced him to try it. Although it was a long and difficult process, eventually John's health improved, and he was able to live a normal life again. One of the significant risk factors for IgA nephropathy is having a family history of the disease. The disease is most commonly diagnosed in people between the ages of 30 and 50. Although the reason for this age range is not entirely clear, some researchers believe that changes in the immune system as people age may be a contributing factor. John had been feeling off for a while. He was tired all the time and just didn't have the energy he used to. His wife, Paula, and daughter, Delaine, suggested he get a checkup, but he brushed it off. Eventually, though, he relented and went in for some tests. The news was bad. He was suffering from kidney failure and would eventually need a transplant. John was devastated. He refused to believe it at first, questioning the authenticity of the results. But another round of tests confirmed what everyone had been dreading. His kidneys were failing and he needed help. Months passed and John's health continued to decline. He was an active man, always on his toes, but now he felt drained and unwell all the time. Owing to his exhaustion and fragile state, his family urged him to get another checkup. This time, there was no denying the truth. John's kidneys were failing and he needed a transplant to survive. The doctor told John that he wasn't sure how much time he had left to live. It could be as little as 2 days or as much as 2 months. John was immediately signed up for emergent dialysis treatment, which made him feel much better. However, this treatment required him to go to a dialysis center 3 times a week and sit down for 3 to 4 hours each time, a lifestyle that John wasn't suited for. When kidney function begins to fail, dialysis treatment can help extend a person's life. In kidney dialysis, blood is filtered through a machine that removes wastes and extra fluid. This process replaces some of the functions of the kidneys. John had been receiving treatment for his kidney disease for quite some time, and it had gradually begun to take its toll on him. He was in constant pain, and his loved ones could see the suffering he was going through. They wanted to help ease his pain in any way possible, but he was reluctant to accept their help. Finally, John's daughter Delaine offered to give one of her kidneys to him. Despite the selfless act, John refused. He didn't want her to sacrifice her own health for him. John had been sick for a long time. His kidneys were failing, and he was in need of a transplant. He was on the waiting list, but his health was deteriorating rapidly. His family was desperate to find a donor. John had been waiting for a kidney transplant for years. He was on the list, but there were never any donors available. One day, out of the blue, a donor became available and John was able to get his transplant. It was a miracle. Delaine's father was a headstrong man, and she inherited his determination. When her father John was diagnosed with cancer, she set out to find a way to help him. She contacted his doctors and underwent a series of tests, including blood samples, x-rays, chest and CT scans, and an EKG. Finally, she received the news she had been hoping for. She was a perfect match and qualified as a donor. John's surgery was scheduled for November 2022, but it was postponed after he had an accident and broke his heel bones and L2 vertebrae. He spent 6 weeks in a wheelchair recovering from the fall before he was able to have the surgery. John's surgery was finally rescheduled for February 16, 2023. Delane had been working secretly in the background for months, and John had no idea what was happening. On the day of the transplant, John was utterly oblivious to his donor's identity. When Delane walked through the door, it only dawned on Mr. Ivanowski when he was able to connect the dots. He recalled, "Delane opened the door and came through, and I was just like, oh my lord, sick." The moment was captured on film, and it was a heartwarming moment for all involved. Delane's surgery was a success. The 25-year-old shared emotional footage of her dad's reaction on Facebook and TikTok, where it garnered immense love and appreciation from netizens worldwide. Delane was ecstatic to see her kidney working brilliantly in her dad and thanked everyone for their overwhelming support. Although John was initially against his daughter stepping up to have surgery, his reaction was a mix of tears, gratitude, and pride. She started advocating for organ donation, specifically kidney donation. In Delane's eyes, donating a kidney was equivalent to sharing the gift of life with someone. It was an act of pure altruism and selflessness that could change somebody's life forever. And so, she encouraged people to consider donating their organs, even if it meant going under the knife themselves. John had been living with kidney failure for years, and it had taken a toll on his health and his life. He was attached to a machine for hours every day, and the pain was excruciating. But when his daughter Delane offered to donate one of her kidneys, everything changed. Delane's selfless act saved John's life, and we hope they continue to celebrate many happy moments together.